Right now, 10 countries are opening real doors for Filipino caregivers. Some of these programs are moving faster than a lot of families realize. Maybe your daughter is finishing her caregiving course this year. Maybe your nephew is already abroad, still deciding if he picked the right country. Every year, more nations grow older, and fewer of their own people want this hard, beautiful work. That gap is where our Kababayan step in. Today, we are counting down 10 real countries hiring Filipino caregivers in 2026. We will give you the actual numbers, the actual programs, and the actual salaries. Here is a simple question for you. Which country would you choose for your own family? Type your answer below. Let's start with number 10. Number 10 is South Korea. South Korea just opened a small but meaningful door for Filipino caregivers. The Department of Migrant Workers is sending the first caregivers under a new program called EPS. That simply means Korea's official way to hire foreign workers legally. The first batch has only 100 caregivers, making it a true pilot project. These caregivers help Korean families with childcare, elderly care, and daily house tasks. Here is what is surprising. The Philippines was the very first country Korea trusted for this kind of deal. That agreement began back in 2004, and now that old trust is growing into a bigger caregiver program. If this pilot succeeds, many more slots could open soon. South Korea is aging fast, and its need for caregivers keeps going up. For now, 100 slots is still small, but small programs often grow the fastest once they prove themselves. Keep South Korea on your list. Now let's move to number 9, a country closer to home. Number 9 is Singapore. Many Filipino families already have a relative working there. Singapore calls this job an HSW, short for Household Service Worker. An HSW is a helper who also does caregiving duties, including looking after children or elderly family members. As of October 2025, Singapore raised the minimum salary for new Filipino HSWs. The new minimum is $500 a month, about 650 Singapore dollars. That rule protects workers from being underpaid. Employers also have to follow strict rules from the Ministry of Manpower, Singapore's government office for foreign workers. Here's the surprising part. Before departure, our caregivers now get deeper training, covering caregiving basics and even digital skills. Filipino caregivers now arrive more prepared than ever. Singapore stays close, familiar, and always hiring. For many first-time OFWs, it is still a safe starting point. Next, we go further away, to a desert kingdom hungry for healthcare workers. Number 8 is the United Arab Emirates, the UAE. Hospitals and homes across Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Ras Al Khaimah are struggling to find enough nurses and caregivers. In Ras Al Khaimah alone, one hospital district lost about 100 foreign nurses in just a few months, and most of them were Filipino. Now, families are also hiring Filipino caregivers directly through a system called Tadbir, the EZ official center for domestic worker recruitment. Filipino caregivers are especially wanted here. One reason is strong English skills, and another is caregiving training from TESDA back home, the Philippine government agency that trains and certifies caregivers. Here is what many people don't expect. THE is training its own citizens to become nurses, but the shortage is still huge. Filipino caregivers remain essential there for years to come. Salaries in the stay competitive, and demand keeps climbing every year. Now, let's talk about a country most people forget is even hiring caregivers. Number 7 is the United Kingdom, the UK. This one comes with a heads up, so listen carefully. Until July of 2025, the UK hired thousands of Filipino care workers every year through something called the Health and Care Worker Visa. This let foreign caregivers work in NHS hospitals and private care homes. But here is what changed. As of July 2025, the UK stopped approving brand new caregiver applications from outside the country. In 2025, only about 700 Filipinos got this specific visa, down from over 11,000 just a few years before. The good news is that nurses are not affected. Registered Filipino nurses can still apply directly from the Philippines. If you are a caregiver dreaming of the UK, listen closely. The nursing route is now your stronger option. Always check the latest UK rules before applying. Now, let's cross the Atlantic to a country famous for welcoming caregivers into permanent life. Number 6 is Canada. For years, Canada was the dream country for Filipino caregivers. It offered a real path to permanent residency, the right to live there for good. In March 2025, Canada launched new caregiver pilots called home care worker programs. These let caregivers apply for permanent status directly. But here is the twist, and it is a tough one for many families. This program filled up within hours on its very first day. Then, in December 2025, Canada paused all new applications. The government said too many people applied for too few available spots. If you already applied in 2025, your case is still being processed. But new applications won't open in 2026. Since 2023, Canada has still welcomed over 8,000 caregivers, and that number includes their family members too. Canada isn't closed forever, just paused for now. Keep watching for when it reopens. Next, we travel to a country where elderly care is now a national priority. Number 5 is Japan. Japan has one of the oldest populations on Earth. Over 8 million people there are aged 80 or above. Filipino caregivers can apply through a program called Tokutei Junu, simply meaning specified skilled worker. This visa lets trained caregivers work in Japan for up to 5 years. These workers are called kaigo, the Japanese word for caregiver. Monthly salaries range from around 170,000 yen, and on the higher end, pay reaches 250,000 yen, roughly 70,000 to 100,000 Philippine pesos. Applicants need basic Japanese language skills, tested through an exam called JLPT N4. Here is what's surprising. Japan's own health ministry made a bold prediction. The country will need over 2.5 million caregivers just to keep up with its aging population, and that shortage isn't shrinking. It is growing every single year. For Filipino caregivers willing to learn Japanese, Japan stays wide open. Now let's head to the Gulf, where the largest number of Filipino workers already live. Number 4 is Saudi Arabia. This kingdom already hosts about 1 million Filipino workers, more than almost any other country in the world. Many work as caregivers and domestic helpers for Saudi families. In 2025, the Department of Migrant Workers raised the minimum salary for domestic workers. This new minimum covers caregivers too, now $500 a month, up from $400 before. Every year, over 100,000 Filipinos are deployed into these roles in Saudi Arabia alone. Here is the part most people miss. The government is now planning something new. It wants to separate domestic worker and caregiver into 2 different job categories. That means future caregivers may finally get their own minimum wage, one that fits their harder, more specialized work. Saudi Arabia isn't just hiring, it is also reforming how it treats our caregivers.
Now,
to a European nation famous for its aging population and its pedancy. Number 3 is Italy. Across Europe, few countries are aging faster than Italy. Families there rely heavily on live-in caregivers, called badanti. For 2026, Italy set aside 13,600 visa slots just for caregivers and domestic helpers. This comes from a system called Decreto Flussi, Italy's yearly plan for foreign workers. But here's the surprising part. There is a second, lesser-known pathway too. Some families care for someone over 80 years old, and other families care for a person with a disability. These families can hire a caregiver through a separate channel, outside the usual yearly quota. This second pathway has already opened around 10,000 extra slots in recent years. Between both pathways, Italy keeps opening real, steady doors for Filipino caregivers, especially for those willing to live with the family they care for. Now, we reach the final 3. We start with the country offering our nurses the strongest long-term career path. Number 2 is Germany. Since 2013, a program called Triple Win has placed over 8,000 nurses and caregivers in Germany, working in German hospitals and elderly care homes. Triple Win is a free, government-run program, with no costly agency fees for qualified applicants. Filipino nurses and caregivers already make up a major part of this program, alongside workers from India and Indonesia. Monthly salaries in Germany can be 6 times higher than similar work back home. But here is what's surprising. Germany still has 30 to 40,000 unfilled nursing and caregiving positions right now, and that number is expected to grow. By 2030, it could reach 200,000 unfilled jobs. This isn't a temporary gap. It is a permanent, growing need. Filipino caregivers willing to learn German have a real chance here. For them, Germany remains one of the most stable, respected paths abroad. And now, the country with the clearest, biggest opportunity for Filipino caregivers in 2026. Number 1 is Israel. Israel has hired Filipino caregivers since the 1990s, through one of the oldest bilateral labor agreements our country has. A bilateral labor agreement simply means both governments officially agreed on the rules, how caregivers are hired, and how they are protected. Today, tens of thousands of Filipino caregivers already work in Israeli homes, caring for elderly and disabled Israelis every day. Salaries start at around $1,000 a month, higher than many other caregiving destinations. Here is what's surprising. Even during recent regional tensions, Filipino caregivers stayed protected. They were kept in secured residential areas, and our own government closely monitored them the whole time. Caregiving now makes up over half of all foreign labor permits in Israel, and more than a third of those caregivers are Filipino. No other country depends this heavily on our Kababayan for elder care. That's why Israel stands at number 1. 10 countries, 10 different doors, but one same truth. Our Filipino caregivers are quietly holding up elderly care systems worldwide. Maybe it is your child or your neighbor thinking about this path. These opportunities are real, and they are happening now. So tell us in the comments, which country would you choose for your own family? Give this video a like if you learned something new today. Share it with a relative who is a caregiver or thinking of becoming one, and subscribe so you never miss our next update. The world keeps aging, and Filipino hands keep answering the call.